Yeah, good evening. It's very difficult to do a conversation after a film like this. So, um, I think all of us have been very moved by the film. Today is the third time I watched it, and every time I've watched it, I've kind of felt very deep emotions run through me. Um, we have about 20 minutes, and I know that lots of people are going to want to respond, so I don't want to take too much time. But let me start by asking you that it's a very interesting collaboration, you as the director and she as the performer. And, this is such an intimate story of her life. So, Abir, could you start by maybe talking a bit about how you played this role as a director in working with such an intimate context? And I'm sure it was very difficult for both of you to work on this. Um, can you talk a little bit about the process?
It wasn't a difficult process at all. And that is because Bharti and I were already friends. So she had told me this story of hers, and all of a sudden you also hear it. It doesn't, we don't prepare you for that something like this is going to happen. And that's what Bharti does. She doesn't prepare you. If you're her friend, one day she will come and she will bestow this upon you. Okay, this is what has happened to me. She will not prepare you, and that is what I wanted to share it as an experience. Plus, the reason why it was not difficult because Bhadrakant was there. We always felt it, like not in a ghostly manner, but he was always there to guide us. Like if there was a problem, if we were ever stuck, I would just ask her, and she would say, he would always respond this way, and we would just go ahead. So since we were friends, it was not a difficult thing. However, the process was that we got another dear friend of ours, Smriti, to script it. So a lot of people think that this is a documentary. We have just made her stand somewhere. No, this is like a scripted thing. We went to places, we recceed, we thought it through, and then our dear friend Smriti scripted it for us.
So in due course, maybe, if you talk about the decisions in terms of choosing the location, some of them are kind of evident in the sense, but some of them are very interesting, particularly in terms of the Naz Cafe being there kind of thing. Okay, later you can talk about it, but Bharti, may I ask you, because you're an artist yourself and a visual artist, and you graduated from JJ in 68, right? So,
Yes.
In terms of your aesthetic sensibilities and your approach to work,
Yes.
did you ever feel the need to sort of, bring in your own aesthetic observations or your processes in terms of because I've read curatorial statements around some of your shows, in particular one by Amrita Gupta Singh, where you describe your process as sort of, wanting to open things apart surgical and then wanting to stitch them back. So could you talk a bit about how, as two artists, you work together?
Yeah, so in context to the film, uh, I have not played any part in bringing it together, putting it together, editing it, or how to tell the story. The how of it, of course, we have discussed it, but the final word has been with Abir, and Smriti's suggestions were very valuable because I didn't want to interfere. I know that she's very capable of thinking out of the box, and the way she will do more than justice to the whole thing. My contention was to bring the story alive and reach it to as many people as possible, not because it was my deep loss, because we all go through deep losses, and it means very much to all of us. But I felt this story had something a little extra to offer, which was positive, which was really which gave meaning to life and to living, and that is what I basically wanted this film to be about, which she has done justice to it, and she's done it in a way. The form is so fresh; it gives us a fresh experience of the whole thing. But yes, and I've been wanting to make this film for a long time, but it could happen only now. Yeah. So.
Okay. So, Abir, I really enjoyed the soundscape and the use of music Nath Remora is such a, kind of every person in Maharashtrian home every child will know the song, right? And also the Dhak Dhak kind of thing. And can you maybe talk a little first about your sound design and the decision to use voiceover narration?
So, Dhak Dhak was taken from Bhadrakant's play. It was his composition. What else? There was this sound which there's a series of drums that was played by my 21-year-old brother. He just came and he started playing drums and we recorded it and he said, I'm going to give you the best piece ever. And it turned out those series of drums where you see a lot of montage of things falling into place and the pipe and the letters and everything. The rest of the sound design, I designed the sound for that. It was because it was also music. Our films are not. Our films have songs, but they are not musical in sense. Indian films. So I wanted to have a song which is out of context because life is taking place. It could be your loss. That is fine. But life somewhere, you will hear the radio playing, and it will be a cheerful song. It has nothing to do with your sorrow at all, and that is what I want to put it together because there was a line which Bharti kept telling me that it is not happening to you, it is happening for you. Whatever the loss is, it is not happening to you. So the additional song was always like also technically it worked as a breather because it was series of very strong voiceovers and visuals. So yeah.
Can you talk about the voiceovers, the narration, the decision to sort of have this performative voiceover?
Yes, so I strongly believe when it comes to films that show don't tell, for sure. I thought it through and I kept thinking that irrespective of whatever visuals I use, whatever fiction element I bring up here, it cannot do justice as Bharti's performance. So she's not just telling, she's also showing through her eyes, through her gestures, because she has been repeatedly saying it to each and every good friend of hers since 25, 30 years. She's doing this. So I wanted to give her that platform while she's on the screen and not take that away from her. So, yes.
Bharti, would you like to add something?
Yeah, the Dhak 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 song was part of this Te Chhata play, the In Spite of play. So we took a bit of that, but the rendition is done freshly. It's because that time there was no video recording or things like that when this was performed. And the voiceover was, since we were using the Gujarati words, we wanted it to be recited. There is a rhythm to it. And that is the work. That is not just the words which you digest intellectually. And Ali, who did the voiceover, was part of our theatre group. So he knew Bhadrakant, he's acted in our play, and somehow his voice matched the timbre. So we asked him to do it. And yes, it works.
Okay. So the range of material that you use in the film in terms of the photographs, there's a small number of photographs which we see several times. Your artwork, of course, and then text from the poetry and play, etc. And then only towards the very end we see a glimpse of a larger world within which you both belong, which is 60s, 70s, 80s kind of Bombay, and the whole context of modernist writing and art, etc. that was going on. So. Did you want to keep the film within this personal realm without much reference to that historical context?
Well, the thrust of it was this story, but the ethos prevailing at that time was very much instrumental in creating certain, let's say, freedom, certain way of thinking, way of feeling and acting, which was very peculiar to those times, and it added a lot to our growth, our involvement, But the material that I had, as you see, the photographs are very few, and I couldn't get more material than what I already had. So we had to make do with that. And photographs of old Bombay, I didn't want to go to the press and dig out old photos and use. That is not the form here. So it was done in a more lyrical fashion, and yeah.
So, Abir, I go back to my question about locations and your choice. So, can you talk about the process of the recce? Like, surely you must have had, lengthy discussions in terms of deciding which parts to show, because it's also a film that takes you around particular parts of Bombay and gives you a very particular, visual imagery of Bombay. So, can you talk about that?
The locations were actual locations where they would go and sit. We were truly honest with the content. So we tried to, Naz Cafe doesn't exist anymore, so we kept that in the film. It is also her, the abstractness of Naz Cafe is also her consoling herself, okay, it must be there, this is what she's not able to pinpoint, and she just gives a glance and she comes back to the camera and says, it was there. So it is her own, for her own heart, her own content. So from the abstract to actual physical locations were actually where they used to meet. The other parts, the end Mukti poem, which was done in Sion Fort, that was intentional because we went shooting there and I could see a lot of kids running. So I had shot that. And we had shot something very different for this, but it didn't go with the poem. So that is what I had shot and we used it.
So certain bits, certain clips are pulled out of already shot footage, which complemented what you were trying to make. And they were used. Otherwise, as she said, the locations where I am there are actual locations. JJ is there, and like the seascape and the railway, the trains come so much, and the way they come, that is, of course, related to the story. So basically, yeah, and taking the route of that, going up Malabar Hill and seeing the seascape and the buildings over there, that was part of showing the city and the Bombay that we live, the Bombay of today that we are living in and passing through.
Right. So this will be my sort of final question, and then we'll open it out to the audience. There's a particular trajectory that the story follows, starting from your meeting and immediately knowing that you were in love and this was the person for you, through a journey of growing together and then negotiation and friction and all of this. And it's pretty difficult to tell such a story to the world, although it's possibly everybody's story, barring the end, the very tragic end. So you have a script written. So did you decide which parts you wanted to tell and how much of those you wanted to tell, or was it this? I mean, I'm very curious in terms of such an intimate story, but being told in a very organized manner. So, yeah.
Well, it was the part where I play the villain kind of role, which was very confusing to me. I don't know what made me like that. I was trying to figure out my own self. What is it? What happened to me? And it was never, I could never put it into words. And I had to sort of reach on the thing inside me and go back into the journey and come up with factual things, like whatever was happening. And in the process, I mean, this is what it did to me. It clarified a lot of things, which I let enter into the film, like the ego bit and I found he was very much more than what I was, and I was not up to the mark. All these were, so the maturity, the growing up, I couldn't get myself out of that zone. And it was the accident that kicked me out of that zone and freed me of that limitation I had constructed for myself. And this was the bit which I had to make it public because I had to commit to it. What was happening, I had done a performance, I'd written a performance called Untold Stories a few years back, where I was about to tell the story, but I would withdraw. I was about, and this was the form of the whole performance. And I just couldn't manage to. But here, so this is something that I wanted to give back to the relationship, to Bhadrakant, to the grace which made it happen, and to the whole thing, to life itself. It's an ode to life, you may say, but I had to do it. It's like a purging also.
So, I mean, when one listens to all of this, it kind of becomes clearer as to why you would want to have the performative, step away from.
It also goes, the entire credit, of course, is Bharti's, but this parts of it which Smriti had taken a lot as a friend. At some point of time, Bharti must have narrated the incident to her. So Smriti did add on to a lot of things, asking her to put those elements, especially the acceptance part that I reached onto you. And she gave both of us the power to use that because she said, no, we have to be honest. So she, as a friend, not as a scriptwriter, but she as a friend had noted those points. And those acceptance, especially those grave, really accepting points, were added by her.
Because those scenes really strike you. They're very strong. As a person in the audience also, you are trying to understand how should I respond to this.
Well, it is like taking off your clothes and baring yourself to the public, but that is exactly what I wanted to do. This is what I am, and I don't want to hide it. It's for others to decide if they at all feel concerned as to what is what. I'm not. This is me. It's like putting yourself in a witness box in a way. So.
All right. We'll open it out for any comments, questions. Yeah, if everyone with a comment question can please show your hands. We'll know how many we have in the room. Yeah, we'll start with gentlemen.
Hi. So, how did you come up with the title? Like, what was the creative process behind it? If there is any.
So, if I may say so, the dialogues are written by me. So, this was one way I used to experience Bhadrakant, that he has a space within himself which is as infinite as ocean space. So, from there, the way, then how you put it, how do I show that space which I had experienced? So, and then Smriti again came up with this, she picked out that title, that sentence from my dialogue. She said, this is a good sentence. Of course, it's very long, but somehow it gives the feel of the whole thing. It's also lyrical,
She used to
which is
refer
part
to
of the...
Bhadrakant saying that your chest is so broad, I can swim in it.
Yeah.
That's how she introduced Bhadrakant to us, that he was tall and he had broad chest. And I always used to say, Bhadrakant, your chest is so broad, I can swim in it. So that stayed with us.
Okay, there's a question here. Second row, third row.
I'll try to put this as shortly as possible. You mentioned that this was staged, so to say, for lack of a better word, and it was performed. So, Bharti ji, I'm sure some parts must have been easier to perform than others. And also seeing that you have shot a lot of these outside where the locations are out of your control, was there any point where you had to go for retakes? And going for retakes in such an intimate conversation, does it get difficult, and how do you navigate through that?
Please address.
Yes, of course, there were retakes. But I think she's a champ. She really put, Hindi में बोलते हैं तटस्थ होके दूर करके, she did it. There were retakes, but I was also aware with the entire issues with the, especially Malabar Ridge Road. It's a public place. So we had performed there, we had quietly gone together, and we had मतलब सब frames decide कर लिए थे. She had rehearsed it for about 35 days, 40 days with my brother, my 21-year-old. He assisted in that film. So they both had rehearsed it very well. So
Hi. So my question is that in all of our lives, when we go through love and all, so we generally associate memories with certain places in the city or wherever we live. And so my question is, these spaces change with a period of time. With a period of time, the city evolves and places change. So when these places change, how does the notion of love change with it?
I don't think it does. The notion of the love doesn't change because you have experienced what you have experienced in that or with that particular place at that time, and it has remained behind with you. So you are there when you're talking about that place. It may not be there in reality, but it is. It is not dead, it is alive in a different way.
Thank you.
also, like, the film is, you see the changes in the season. So change is actually a huge part of acceptance in the film. So that's, we have to show that it is not just a instrumental in changing love whatsoever.
Any further comments? Oh, sorry. Yes, there's a whole audience there. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you. So my question is for Abir. One thing that really resonated throughout the movie was how each frame was visually stunning. And not just like ma'am's artwork and the photographs, but also just the way you shot everyday objects, especially Sir's scarf and all those things. So was there a certain methodology behind it in deciding how to capture each frame? Or was there a reason for it to be very visually and artistically shot in the first place? Like, would love it if you can shed some light on this.
Thank you. It's shot by, 90% of it is shot by Avijit. He is, Avijit Mukul Kishore is a filmmaker and a cinematographer. He's done a pretty good job on this. I'm also a photographer and a cinematographer. So बहुत सारे DOPs थे film में. So we made sure, and like I said, I wanted the film to not give, it should feel like a documentary film, but some parts, especially when we have the liberty, when we can keep the tripod, I wanted it to be calming. I wanted it to have that effect, okay, you're in the home. So all of that was pre-decided because I knew once we hit the streets, we are not going to use any sort of heavy equipment there. So yeah, and photography also, like, her place is stunning as it is, so it wasn't a difficult thing to do.
Wrap up. Okay, this is the last question.
Yeah. Yeah. I have two questions. So one is for Bharti ma'am. So since you were sharing such an intimate experience, and this question arises from the fact that it was mentioned about how many times you had rehearsed this, but since it's so personal, was there a point in the film when you actually improvised and went into a narrative that was not in the script, not something that you had rehearsed, but something that came naturally in the moment? Yeah, and the second question would be, a lot of was just that, a lot of lines in the film, the Gujarati lines were beautiful. The question was, why those specific lines out of, all the lines that, all the beautiful lines that Bhadrakant has written?
Yeah, so to answer your second question first, his poem was about mukti, which was freedom. And the other one was about, which was it about? Aaje hoon lakhi raho shute. So it gave the atmosphere of those times, the start of the, not start, but pollution was already there, the downgrading of this environment was already happening. So all that was very pertinent to the film, and hence these two poems were there. And the play about Bhagalpur blindings, again was gave some idea into Bhadrakant's interest and passion about what to write about, what was he concerned about, the freedom, the common individual, the sensitivity with which we function, and the falseness and the cruelness of the political, scenario. So that is why. And about my saying the dialogues, and verbatim, I didn't stick to it. Most of the time it was coming, but then you improvise a little bit. But there were junctures in the film where I was not acting. I mean, it would touch me inside, and it would come out in my voice or things like that. So that's what was happening.
Okay, thank you to both of you for making the film, and thank you to IHS for giving us the opportunity to watch it.